Hello friends, it is nice to see all of you at the Institute of Distance and Open Learning. Friends, it gives me immense pleasure to present in front of you the first year BA Module 2, that is Trends in Indian Nationalism Part A, which is Moderates. I am Dr. Suvarna Jadhav and I am Associate Professor in FYBA College, Kalyan. Friends, in moderates, before we start studying about moderates, I am interested in making you understand that whatever you have studied in the first module, that was the basic establishment, or you can say the foundation of the Indian National Congress. So we all are aware about it, that the establishment of Indian National Congress in 1885 launched the organized method of the struggle for India's independence. It was for the first time, friends, that we must understand that Indians decided that we need to have a political platform, a common political platform for all the nationalist leaders all over the country. They voiced their grievances before the British government through Indian National Congress. Coming to the moderates, it is now the time to understand the early leaders of Indian National Congress, who were known as moderates. It is very interesting to understand who were moderates. So we can see that they were the staunch believers of liberalism and came from different backgrounds, very importantly from legal, medical, engineering, journalism, etc. We can see that the moderates were fascinated with the British government and they believed in constitutional methods. You must understand that using the word constitutional methods with reference to India is very important, and this was possible only because of moderates. Of course, when we come to the conclusion, you will understand it in a much better way. They were reformers and revolutionaries. They believed in the political philosophy of the British government. So here they are. We can see some prominent moderate leaders. Dadabhai Nauroji, who is also known as the great old man of India. We can see Mahadev Govind Ranade, a stalwart, a great stalwart of India. Gopal Krishna Gokhale, who is also known as the first batch student of the University of Mumbai, which was then known as University of Bombay. Firoz Shah Mehta, Vyomesh Chandra Banerjee, the first president of Indian National Congress in 1885. Surendranath Banerjee, who was well educated in the competitive exams and the competitor, which we can see over here. Friends, we can see the program of the moderates. Let us understand that what was the actual program of the moderates. We can see that the moderates believed in constitutional agitation. As I have mentioned earlier, using the word constitutional agitation is for the first time that the Indians realized that we just cannot fight with the British government. So somewhere they did not feel that the British government should be thrown out of India. However, they felt that their demands can be fulfilled by the British government through constitutional agitation. Therefore, we can see that the nationalist leaders influenced the government and the British public opinion to introduce necessary reforms in various fields of administration. The moderates believed that the British were unaware of the real conditions of India, which is somewhere true, because we had caste system, the evils like caste system in India, Therefore, for any of the Europeans, it was very difficult to understand the social system of India. They therefore made efforts to enlighten the public opinion through propaganda and petitions. Since they wanted to develop India in the image of the West, they came to be known as Western reformists. I feel that to a certain extent it was not wrong at all if they were thinking that India need to be developed with the image of the West. We can see that Ellen Octavian Hume, the British officer and the founder of the Congress, wanted it to function on the model of the Irish Home Rule League. We can see that it was he who first decided that we should have a political platform in India. The goal of moderates was based on the principle of first deserve and then desire, which was to a certain extent very right, because until and then the people are not aware about what do they deserve, they should not desire, and therefore their principle was first deserve and then desire. We can see that the moderates believed in the installments. They therefore demanded for the political reforms. But what was the answer of the British government to the moderates? They said, "We shall see your previous performance. If we are satisfied, we will introduce next." However, the moderates created a we sentiment in India. This creation of we sentiment is very important, friends, because you can see, the country was divided into so many big and small provinces, and there were so many big and small rulers who were ruling over different parts of India. Therefore, coming up with this idea of we sentiment in India was very important at that time. They preached and practiced a secular type of nationalism in India. Moderates felt that India need a balanced and clear presentation before the British government, so that the British government, if at all, have this kind of clear picture before them, they will surely help the Indians. We find that the moderates believed that the British government was a boon rather than a curse. To a certain extent, it's very true also, because before the British government, we had no development, no progress in any of the field, and therefore we can say that the moderates' belief was to a certain extent very true. However, this method was criticized by the extremists. The extremists about whom we are going to study later on and understand what was the work of extremists. Let us just say that in which words the extremists criticized the moderates. They called them as mendicancy. That means we were like beggars. We were begging in front of the British government, which the extremists did not like at all. The moderates believed in the political philosophy of John Stuart Mill. We can say that John Stuart, where we can see the few words which are written about his thinking and about his political philosophy, that is, one person with a belief is equal to 99 who have only interest. So friends, it is more important for us to understand that moderates, although were very few, but still they believed that whatever is happening, it's absolutely the right thing for the country at that point. We can see that the moderates believed in agitating for gradual reforms. They remained loyal towards their principles throughout the period. So, however, we can say that the program of the moderates continued with the loyalty towards the nation and towards the British government. Let us now understand the economic reforms which were expected and which were worked out by the early leaders of the Indian National Congress. Friends, Dadabhai Nauroji was one of the first moderate leader who pointed out the root cause of India's wealth. They linked the poverty in India to the economic exploitation of the country by the British. And this exploitation, friends, we must understand that it began not just from 1857, but we must think about the early period of India also, that is after 1757, after the Battle of Plassey, when the Diwani rights were given by the British to the British East India Company of Bengal, Bihar and Orissa. So therefore we can see that the concept of Swadeshi became the means of promoting Indian industries. They suggested the modernization of Indian life in the development of modern industry to eradicate poverty. They demanded improvement in abolition of various other taxes and also the salt tax. Let us now understand what were the administrative reforms which were demanded by the moderates. They demanded for increase in higher grades administrative services. They emphasized the need for the spread of education to the masses. Friends, education was the dire need of India at that time. Extension to the medical and health facilities to the people and improvement of the police system, all these various points were very, very important and in need for the Indian society. They also demanded freedom of speech and abolition of press censorship. Next we come to the constitutional reforms. Talking about the constitutional reforms, the moderates suggested a step-by-step approach to attain self and responsible government. They demanded the extension of the existing central and provincial legislature councils. Their immediate political demands were extremely moderate. Friends, we must understand that why they were moderate. The reason was very simple, because slowly the Indians were now becoming aware about their political rights. Therefore, they expected that immediate actions for each and every reform was not possible, and therefore their demands were extremely moderate. However, the moderates achieved partial success when the new Indian Council Act of 1892 was passed by the British government. Coming to the conclusion, we must understand the early nationalist leaders could achieve a very little success. They were more criticized for their loyalty towards the British Crown. The moderates were successful in building a strong foundation of Indian national movement. And we must not forget this, that building the foundation itself was very, very important at that moment for the India's freedom struggle. The moderates were most progressive in Indian society and were true patriots. Why I am saying that they were most progressive? Because they all were well educated. They were westernized and therefore most progressive, and in real sense true patriots, because they did not want to harm any of the Indian in any way, and therefore we can say that they were true patriots. We find that the moderates succeeded in creating a wide political awakening in India. Therefore, the period from 1885 to 1905 can be considered as the seed time for Indian nationalism. Yes friends, it was in true sense a seed time for Indian nationalism. I hope you must have enjoyed my lecture, and thank you for paying attention to whatever I was saying. Thank you.